and we are live on YouTube.
All right. Hopefully.
Awesome.
All right, and I forgot to take a little screenshot of all of us too, so we're going to do that real quick here. So smile. All right, welcome to our reading of The Never-Ending Story. We're going to do the first half of the script tonight. We've got a lovely cast. I'm very excited. And we're going to do a quick set of introductions and then jump right into our script. So just going to start off with Vicky since I see her screen up there first.
Hello, I'm Vicki Dykes. I'm from Central Alberta, a small town, Penhold. I go by the pronoun she, her. Tonight, I will be reading action and description at the beginning and near the end, not the very end though. And I am Carry On and Morla.
All right. Let's jump over to Aubrey and then Jacob.
Hi, I'm Aubrey. I'm from California, Northern California to be precise. I'm here pretty much as many times as I can be. I'm sure you all know me. My pronouns are whatever. And yeah, you can find me on Instagram and Facebook and on various projects. So I'm what I mainly do. I'm an actor and a musician. So,
Cool. And did you say who you're playing tonight?
oh, I'm playing various characters from Atreyu. I've maybe a Bastion actions descriptions. That's why I just put various on there.
And the father.
And the father. Yes, I am the father.
Okay. Jacob.
I am Jacob Patrick from Los Angeles, California. Love all things creative. And here I am reading tonight a little bit of Bastion, a little action description, and a little Atreyu, and a little teeny weeny.
Awesome. Let's jump down to Jackson and then Anamika.
Hello, I'm Jackson Gray. I'm from Central Alberta. I'll be playing multiple different characters tonight. Oh, and you can find me on basically anything with that, with my name. So, yeah.
Awesome. Anamika.
Hi, I'm Anamika Farrow. I'm also somewhere in Northern California, like Aubrey. And tonight I'll be reading Coriander Creatures and Actions and Descriptions as well. And you can, oh, my pronouns are she, her. I think I forgot that part. And you can find me on Facebook.
Awesome. Skylar.
Hello.
Oh, hi. Hi, Matthew. We're just doing introductions. If you could pause for just a sec, we're going to do Skylar next and then you, okay?
Right, who am I going to be?
In a sec. I'm going to get to that in a minute. So go ahead, Skylar.
Hello, I'm Skylar Silverlake. I'm an actor, primarily a voice actor. I'm based in LA. And I use both he, him, and they, them pronouns. Tonight I will be reading the Rock Biter and actions and descriptions.
Okay. And then who did I give the role of Night Hop to? Who remembers? Jackson? Okay. I wanted to make sure you had that there because I realized I didn't have it down in this little section here. So, all right. I don't know where I put you in there, but all right. And then Matthew, tonight you are reading the roles of Street Kid number 1.
Reading what?
Street Kid number 1. And then I have you as Bastion on pages 18 to 28. So I'll let you know when we get there.
Sebastian?
Yes, just not all of him, just when he shows up between pages 18.
Is he the main kid?
He's the little kid that reads the book, yes. But
The
not
main kid, right?
Yes, the kid reading the book.
That fights the book, right?
That's right. But yes, just on page 18 to 28. So we have several other people reading Bastion elsewhere in the script. So we're taking turns on that.
All right. Kind of like we did before. It's good.
Yeah. And then I'm Kat Wilson tonight, and I will be reading the part of Atreyu near the end, and a little bit of Bastion as well. So I think with that, I'm going to bring the script up. So just for folks out there in YouTube land, because we have each character shows up pretty much in one scene or maybe two, except for a few main characters. We are jumping who is reading who in every scene. So if you're following along, if you're able to change your screen name down there, folks, to the character you are reading currently, that'd be lovely. If not, it's not a big deal. We'll just go ahead and
This is a long script, isn't it?
yes, it's a long script. We're only going to read half of it tonight. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen then, and we'll get the script up and we'll get going. So let me go find our script.
Remember this being a very creepy kids movie.
All right, I'm going to have to get to the cast list first. And then,
What?
Yeah.
Okay, can you all see that?
Yes.
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 Probably need to make it a little bit bigger here. Hang on. Gotta download the thing.
This was a very creepy kids movie.
Yes, it is.
I thought I had it open.
I wouldn't say it's creepy. I would say it's very deep.
I loved it.
Very what?
Yeah. It's a deep movie. I wouldn't call it creepy. It has creepy moments, but I wouldn't call it creepy.
That look all right?
That looks great.
All right, Vicky, take it away.
Interior apartment, Bastian's room, day. A small boy asleep in his bed suddenly sits up. He stares off into space for a few moments, trying to wake up as the bad dream fades away. He is Bastian, a 10-year-old who is a little small for his age, with large, sad eyes and a sensitive face. We can see part of his room. It is almost a typical American boy's room, except for all the books. There are some beautiful pictures of horses he has taped to the wall, an ET poster, a Rubik's Cube by his bed. But mainly we see books, many books, lined up and cared for and appreciated. In fact, the boy now realizes he wants to sleep reading a large book. Bastian puts a bookmark in place, sets it on his bedside table, and turns out the nightlight. Interior kitchen, living room, area, day. Bastian is now dressed, his bright red nylon knapsack filled with school books on the counter beside him. Bastian is finishing a breakfast that apparently he is making for himself, a bowl of Fruit Loop cereal, plus 2 cherry Pop-Tarts that he takes out of the toaster. While quickly eating his breakfast, he is also making himself a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. The breakfast was pretty easy, but we see the first of Bastian's many daily struggles begin. He can't twist the top off of the Welch's grape jelly jar. Bastian's father strides into the room. He is one of those men who is so immaculately groomed and carefully dressed, he is almost distracting. He wears a suit and tie and a very polished pair of dark shoes. He is a good man, but distant and formal.
Good morning, Bastian.
Good morning.
The father now moves into a number of automatic and very efficient morning rituals, carefully folding the morning newspaper just so. Then he double checks a knot on his tie in a mirror, making sure it is perfect. Then, as he walks by Bastian, who is still struggling with the jar, he takes the jar, gives it one good twist, and hands it back, all on the way to complete 3 more rituals. Bastian watches his father for a moment with love and envy. His father quickly sorts through 5 pieces of mail and then remembers something, takes out a pocket notepad, jots a note to himself, all in the time it takes Bastian to get some grape jelly on his sleeve and unsuccessfully tries to wipe it off without leaving a stain. Bastian speaks in a halting, shy manner.
I had a dream, Dad, about Mama.
This makes the man pause for a moment, and then he sighs sadly.
I know, son. But she died 8 months ago, and we need to get on with things somehow, don't we?
Bastian nods and then tries to spread the Skippy peanut butter on a piece of bread, but it doesn't spread. Instead, Bastian is sort of half destroying the bread.
Bastian, we each have responsibilities, and we can't let your mother Be an excuse not to get the old job.
Bastian nods, but he can't even get the sandwich job done. He shrugs, gives up, takes the messy sandwich, and now tries to fit it into a too small Ziploc plastic bag. It doesn't fit.
Bastion, I think it's time you and I had a talk.
Bastian doesn't look at his father in the eye.
I got a call from your geometry teacher yesterday. She said you were drawing horses or something in your geometry textbook.
Unicorns. They were
What?
nothing.
And she said your homework was not done on time. I'm also very disappointed that you didn't try out for the swim team at school. Even those horseback riding lessons you wanted, you love horses, that's fine, but you seem to be afraid to get on a real one. You're old enough to get your head out of the clouds and start keeping both feet on the ground. You must face problems, not avoid them.
He pauses and looks at Bastian, who still can't quite get the sandwich in the plastic bag.
There. I think we've had a good talk. We should have more of them. Have a nice day, son. And don't be late for school.
Efficiently, his father gathers up all his things and is out of the door as Bastian starts to say something in response, but his father is gone. We cut to exterior street day. Bastian is walking to school. It is a middle-class city street in an older neighborhood, an area that has seen better days but isn't yet as bad as some. Bastian has his paper sack in one hand, his red knapsack with his school books on his back, and he's licking a finger and still trying to get the grape jelly stain off his sleeve. He stops when he hears,
Hey, it's the nerd.
Bastian looks up, startled, seeing three large boys. Not much older than he is, but bigger and rougher looking. Two are white, one is black, and one wears a black leather jacket. Another wears a Donkey Kong video t-shirt, and the third has a jacket that says Elvis Costello. The three seem to take a sadistic delight in seeing Bastian.
Hey, nerdo, you got your lunch money for us today?
The chase. Bastian runs fast, weaving in and out of people on the sidewalk. The street kids run even faster, not always bothering to run around people. Angle behind apartment building, where Bastian is running behind a parked car. He crouches down, not even breathing. Everything is quiet. Then three shadows slowly fall across him.
Nerdo wants to play hide and seek.
Angle on scene as Bastian tries to run, but they grab him. His knapsack and lunch bag are tossed aside. His pockets are searched and he's shoved around a little in the process. It all happens fast.
Hey, we'll play hide and seek, sure? Oh, only where's your money, man? No money? This dude is holding out.
They pause. Clearly, he has no money, almost routinely, and they pick him up and carry him over towards a gigantic dark green metal trash container, a Dempsey dumpster.
Hey, no, not again. Come on.
You're gonna hide in the trash again, man. Or bring us some coin. Okay? 1, 2, 3.
On three, Bastian is rather expertly heaved up over into the trash, where he disappears from sight in the almost full trash container. The street kids laugh and then reach up and swing the metal lid down, which crashes down with a loud bang. They laugh and run on back down the alley, and soon they're gone. Everything is quiet and still. Camera stays with the now silent trash bin, and then a rustling sound. Bastian swings the lid open and stands there, waist deep in trash, a few wrappers sticking to him. He is safe and free for the moment. We cut to the exterior of Bastian walking down another street. 10 minutes later, he keeps checking himself, making sure no more trash is sticking to him anywhere. He has his knapsack back on, his lunch in hand, but his hair is now mussed and his shirt badly wrinkled. He trudges onward towards school, and then suddenly he freezes, staring ahead. The same three street kids, half a block away. They happen to see Bastian again.
Hey, who told you could get out of the trash, man? Yo, go get back.
And they must have be having a slow morning in the old extortion game because they happily start running towards Bastian again. Bastian, who can only stare in shock for a moment. It isn't fair, not twice in one morning.
No.
He turns and is off like a rocket, the shouts of the kids behind him. Interior Coriander's bookstore. Bastian runs into a store, panting, and quickly closes the door after him. He moves to one side of the opaque glass doorway, where a shade is half drawn. Seconds later, the racing shapes and muffled shouts of the street kids go by the door and keep on going. Bastian exhales slowly, safe for the moment. And then he realizes how quiet and still it is in this little shop. The traffic noises and city bustle fade almost into non-existence. He turns and looks around, and he sees books. His face lights up. He's astonished and delighted. Books are everywhere, on rows stacked high, all sizes and colors. He has stepped into a world of books, but then suddenly,
Get out of here. I don't like kids.
Bastian is startled and confused for a moment. Where did the voice come from? He looks around. There are no customers, just musty stacks of books. And then Bastian notices a little movement towards the rear of the store. From behind a counter, piled high with books, we see part of a chair. Its back is to us, and smoke, as if from a pipe, in rhythmic puffs, like smoke signals, illuminated from behind a small reading light. Bastian, who moves forward quietly with curiosity. In Bastian's point of view, the first thing he can see clearly is the edge of a huge old book caught by the light of a reading lamp. Bastian reacts to this, eyes opening wide. What a strange looking book. Bastian's point of view, he continues moving closer. Now we can see that holding the book is a man with curly graying hair who is sitting with his back to us, smoking a pipe and reading the book. We still can't see very well. Angle on scene as Bastian takes one more step, even closer, and the floor creaks. The man, who is sitting in a big old leather chair, now turns around, immediately hiding with his arm a large, heavy old book. The man's name is Coriander, and he is an aging but somehow ageless man who has a curved European-style pipe, and he is smoking, and he glares at Bastian.
Are you still here?
You're
hiding?
Bastian is caught off guard. He nods and then shakes his head, confused.
Oh, you broke something? Nah, you must have stolen something.
No,
The video arcade is down the street. Here we sell small rectangular objects. They are called books and require a little effort on your part and make no beep beeps. On your way, please.
I know about books. Oh, sorry.
It takes Bastian a few moments to recover from all this sarcasm.
I know about books.
My books don't have pictures.
I read books.
Comic books.
No, I've read Treasure Island, Lord of the Rings, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, and Tarzan.
Angle on Coriander, who realizes this boy reads. He must be different.
So who are you running away from?
Just some kids from school.
Why?
They take my lunch money.
And why is it you don't punch them in the nose?
Because I can't see lower on the script.
Bastian starts to answer, but then just shrugs. It isn't easy to explain childhood to a grown-up. Coriander sighs. blows some new smoke rings into the air, and starts reading again.
What's the book about?
Oh, 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 this is something special.
What is it?
Look, your books are safe. While you read them, you become Tarzan or Robinson Crusoe.
But that's what I like about them.
Yes, but later you get to be a little boy again.
What do you mean?
Have you never been Captain Nemo, trapped in your submarine and attacked by the giant squid?
Yes,
Weren't you afraid you couldn't escape?
but it's only a book.
That's what I'm talking about. The ones you read are safe.
He turns back to his book to continue to read. Bastian thinks for a moment.
I suppose that book's different.
Curious, he comes one step closer. Bastian is starting to take the bait, so Coriander hooks him even more by moving the book away again.
No.
What's so different about it?
Oh, don't worry about it.
But but you just said.
Somewhere in the back, a phone rings. Coriander gets up and then shoves the big book under some papers. And then he turns to Bastian again.
Forget about it. It's not for you.
Coriander lumbers back to the rear of the store and answers the phone, and there's a muffled conversation. Closer angle on Bastian and the book. The strange old book is resting on the counter. The soft light from the reading lamp bathes it in a soft glow, a gentle spotlight. Bastian moves closer, reaching out for it, his fingers almost trembling. The cover of the old book has two serpents, one black, one white, each eating the tail of the other, forming an oval. Inside the oval is the title, The NeverEnding Story. Bastian moves even closer, glances towards the rear of the store where Coriander is still busy on the phone. Suddenly, Bastian can't stand it anymore. He must have this book. He grabs the book, shoves it under his arm, and is out the door and running down the street as fast as he can. We pan slowly up to an opening in one of the bookshelves and see Coriander looking out. Having seen all this, he smiles to himself. We cut to the interior school hallway. Bastian hurries down past a row of lockers. He still cradles the special book in his arm and half runs towards his first class. He's obviously late. The hallways are empty and quiet. Classes started some time ago. Hall outside geometry class, Bastian stops, half running, and pauses just outside a closed classroom door. There's a glass panel beside the door. Bastian peers around and looks inside, and we look with him. A woman is teaching geometry. She is a no-nonsense type of teacher. Bastian close up. As he just stands there a moment, he glances at the book and then the class hesitating. He doesn't want to study geometry at this moment. And then suddenly he hears the sound of a teacher's footsteps. Bastian is in panic. Angle on teacher's feet, and we follow a man's legs and feet with ominous echoing footsteps as he walks towards the classroom, past a row of closets, and walks right on by. Bastian is gone. Nearby row of closets, a door opens a few inches. Bastian peeks out, looks around, then hurries on through the corridors, clutching the strange old book. Cut to the interior key box, close angle, as a boy's hand takes a key from a key box somewhere on a hook marked attic. We cut to the interior attic, close up on a key beside slid into a keyhole, close up on a mouse on a dimly lit wooden floor. It sits up on its back feet, stares in fright at the camera, and disappears, whoosh, into a hole in the floor. The attic door opens slowly. It creaks. Bastian slips in, locks the door, and then looks into the musty room. There is a spooky semi-darkness, a faint milky light comes through a skylight in the roof, and there's a pool of direct light coming through a high window with angled slats. Spiderwebs as big as hammocks sway back and forth eerily in the slight draft. Strange things are scattered about: school desks, old maps, faded pictures, stuffed animals, mysterious props. It is silent. Bastian climbs through the strange assortment of junk, and then he drags an old gym mat to where the pool of light comes, and through the high window, over behind a desk. He sits down, takes a book, and looks at it solemnly. As Bastian opens the book, not sure what to expect, we slowly move in on his eager eyes. Bastian turns to the first page and starts to read the never-ending story.
It was midnight in the howling forest, and something was moving through the airy woods.
We cut to
Enemy.
Exterior, Howling Woods, night. We are suddenly transported to a different and perhaps better world. Something big is moving through a strange, frightening forest at midnight, and we are experiencing it from his point of view, with a subjective camera moving rapidly through the woods. There is also a strange rumbling noise as we move along, plus the sound of something big panting like he is out of breath. Bright moonlight illuminates some of the ancient, thick, twisted trees, and the gnarled bark and scarred knots create the fleeting image of faces. Trees with faces, waving their many arms and fingers into the night sky. There is something almost comical about how we keep relentlessly plowing on past eerie trees and patches of moonlight. Angle on campfire. In a distant clearing, we see some strange creatures around a small campfire, hearing the rumbling sound getting closer and closer. First, we see the nighthawk, a strange creature, a little over 2.5 feet tall with distinctive features. Large, almost wild eyes peer out at us from an unruly mop of stringy, woolly hair that is black and white. It has a smooth, tan-brown body and strange flipper-like appendages instead of hands or feet. In fact, as we'll soon see, it walks with the gracefulness of a drunken penguin, with little hopping motions. He reacts to this rumbling noise, looking afraid at the teeny-weeny, a man half his size. Only this man is as elegant as the nighthawk is unruly. He has a top hat and a formally cut coat with tails and an oversized bow tie. The teeny-weeny has a dignified manner, as though in a former life he was a Kentucky aristocrat who raised beloved racehorses. He cocks an ear towards the noise and looks scared, then looking at the large snail, a creature with a friendly cartoonish face and an English saddle on his back. He tilts his head, listening, afraid. The only creature which doesn't take any notice of the rumbling sound is a bat, hanging upside down behind the nighthawk. The bat is really large and never far away from the nighthawk's side. Now he's asleep. We hear him snore quietly. Subjective camera moving through the dark woods as before. The same rolling, rumbling noise, crushing all in its path, can be heard as before. Our general impression should be, as we hear all this and see small trees and branches crushed in the path of this thing, is that it's like a comical version of King Kong moving through woods. Angle on the campfire scene, as the creatures duck and hide. The nighthawk quickly hops over behind a small bush. Teeny-weeny, however, heads for his beloved snail, patting him in a comforting way, reassuring him, the way a horse lover would try to gentle a horse that smells smoke. But the bat doesn't react at all. Long shot of clearing, as the three creatures remain hidden, but in the center of the shot, we see an unbelievable sight. A large, crude-looking giant of a creature, about 20 times bigger than Teeny-weeny, is riding something straight at the clearing, and straight at the camera. As it gets closer and closer, we can see that it seems to be made of pure rock, and riding a large, strong bicycle also made of rock. No wonder it moves so fearlessly through the forest. We'll soon know this creature as a rock biter, a gentle soul trapped in a monstrous body. The noise gets louder and louder. The nighthawk and the teeny-weeny and the snail duck lower and lower, scared to death. The bat still doesn't even flinch, however. Finally, the giant on his bicycle with huge stone wheels stops just short of the clearing. Angle on creatures as they look frightened. Angle on Rockbiter, who looks down at the tiny fire and the tiny half-hidden creatures. The Rockbiter's voice is as deep and scary as you might imagine.
Oh, excuse me. Would it be all right if I joined you this evening?
Angle on creatures as they exchange surprised looks. Angle on Rockbiter as he starts to get off his bicycle, not waiting for an answer.
I've been traveling all day.
He doesn't realize how much he scared the other creatures. Angelon, Teeny Weeny, and the Nighthawk slowly, hesitantly emerging from their hiding places, nervously smiling. The snail bravely moves forward a few feet, and all three of them watch the rock biter exchange worried looks. Then their eyes follow him as, apparently off camera, he sits down, which causes the ground to shake, bouncing them around a little like an earthquake. The bat, close up from same angle, the back and upside down, as he now turns his head to one side over at the rockbiter. Rockbiter sitting in front of a campfire but filmed upside down, simulating a hanging bat's point of view on the world.
I'm very pleased to meet each of you. It's nice to rest with nice people when... Ah! I see why you picked this campsite.
Angelon, Nighthawk, and Teeny Weeny as the rockbiter's huge hand comes down near them, causing them to flinch. But the giant hand picks up a nearby large rock. Rockbiter close up. He holds the rock up towards the moonlight a moment, then sniffs it, reacting like a wine snob with a fine burgundy.
A delicious-looking limestone rock. Nice bouquet. Must be a good vintage year.
Close Angelon, Nighthawk, and Teeny Weeny as they nervously look up and nod, agreeing with anything.
Yes, you're right. These delicious rocks are the reason we camped here. All right? Is he nuts?
You're muted, Jacob.
No, he's a rock biter.
A rock biter?
Rockbiter close angle as he puts the rock in his mouth, eating it with a large crunching sound. A number of tiny rock crumbs spill as he eats and fall upon Nighthawk and Teeny Weeny, who duck and try to cover their heads. The rock crumbs are large, heavy stones to them. One bounces off the head of the snail, who flinches, silently mouths the word ow, then turns and glares at the rockbiter. But Teeny Weeny immediately gets up and comforts his snail, patting him. Then reaching into his vest pocket, gets out a sugar cube and tosses it to the snail, who opens his mouth and catches it in midair and happily eats it. Nighthawk gestures in an offhand way to his bat, who is hanging behind him, his back to us.
You fuss over that snail too much. You don't see me jumping around here because of the stupid bat. Oh, don't worry. One thing about bats, they can't hear a word.
Behind him, unnoticed by the Nighthawk, the bat now rolls his head straight back in an impossible-looking way, stares at Nighthawk a moment, then goes back to his resting position. Rockbiter, who has been busy eating rocks. He smiles and rubs his stomach. Teeny Weeny exchanges an offended look with Nighthawk, who just shrugs. Rockbiter, who licks his fingers and smacks his lips.
That was limestone with a dash of quartz. Very good. Where I come from in the north, we used to have exquisite gourmet rocks. Only now, they're all gone.
Angelon, Nighthawk.
I know how it happened.
Rockbiter, as he stops eating, he holds his right hand into the air, just as if taking an oath.
I swear it wasn't me!
Angelon whole scene as Teeny Weeny looks up at the rockbiter, losing his fear.
No, I think I know what it was. Tell me more about it.
Angelon, rockbiter.
Near my home, there used to be a beautiful lake. But then it was gone.
Angelon scene.
Did the lake dry up?
No, it just wasn't there anymore. Nothing was there anymore. Not even a dried up lake.
Hole?
A hole would be something. but it was nothing. And it got bigger and bigger. First, there was no lake anywhere. And then, finally, no rocks.
Os Engelon, Teeny Weeny, and Nighthawk as they exchange looks and speak quietly.
If he keeps eating like this, soon there'll be no rocks no rocks here either.
Nighthawk, this could be serious. Rockbiter, what you have told us is also happening where I live. A strange sort of nothing is destroying everything.
Nighthawk and Teeny Weeny.
We Nighthawks, like in the south, and it's there too.
Engelon Rockbiter.
So it's not just in my part of Fantasia?
Engelon, Teeny Weeny, and Nighthawk as they exchange worried looks.
And it seems now it's not just in our homes. I'm afraid it's much worse than we thought.
Maybe it's already everywhere in Fantasia. Maybe the whole of Fantasia is in danger. What shall we do?
A pause. Engelon Rockbiter.
My people sent me to the ivory tower, to the childlike empress for help.
Teeny Weeny and Nighthawk.
And we're on the same mission. After all, if the childlike empress who rules over all of Fantasia can't save us, who could?
Rockbiter, Teeny Weeny, the Nighthawk, the snail, and even the bat, without looking up, all nod in agreement. There's a thoughtful pause. The fire flickers. There's the sound of the wind in the trees. The fun atmosphere has ended. Clearly, this is serious.
Then why are we all sitting around here instead of taking off to the ivory tower? At this rate, the nothing would be there before we are.
Right. What are we waiting for?
Yes, let's go now.
Close angle on campfire scene as the Rockbiter's large hand comes down and he puts out the campfire with his thumb. Teeny Weeny, who is adjusting his snail's saddle quickly, angle on Nighthawk as he runs up to the bat who is just hanging there.
Hey, wake up!
Then he grabs one of the bat's wings and roughly opens it like an umbrella. Rockbiter starts to get on his bicycle but hesitates.
We can't wait on a snail. Can I carry you?
Angle on Teeny Weeny, who finishes adjusting the saddle, takes out a sugar cube and tosses it to the snail, who again catches it in midair. Teeny beams with pride.
Don't worry. He's a racing snail.
Rockbiter, who is still confused.
But we can't even wait on a racing snail!
Then, suddenly, Nighthawk, positioned just under the bat by straps like a hang glider, sails through the air with his bat right under Rockbiter's nose.
Nobody worries about me and my stupid bat.
Teeny Weeny is in the saddle. He lowers some racing goggles onto his face, pats his snail in a nice way, then crouches like a jockey, kicks his heels just a little, and suddenly the snail takes off like a rocket with a cloud of dust. Angle on Rockbiter, who is the last one left in the clearing. He stares after the disappearing creatures.
It really is a racing snail. I should bring a few of these gourmet rocks with me.
Close angle on hand. Rockbiter's face as he turns and looks very concerned off towards the woods. The trees, where we see the smallest beginning of some strange effects. The limbs of the trees start to sway a little, but not as if by a regular wind. The Rockbiter.
Oh no!
The trees, as their limbs keep swaying. The Rockbiter, who is now on his bicycle, his back to us, ready to go.
The nothing.
He now begins to pedal directly away from us as fast as he can. From the back, we see a comical view. His huge rear end on a small bicycle seat are like two watermelons in a large sack rolling around. As he rides out of frame, the strange sound increases. Angle on trees, rockbiter on bike, pedaling away. Near clearing. For a moment or two, there is only a minor, strange reaction, as though the trees were swaying for some reason. There's a weird sucking, whooshing noise, and then suddenly, several big trees are ripped out of the earth with a big bang. Roots exposed, they fly through the air along with dirt and rocks and bushes. The distinctive sucking, whooshing noise builds in volume. Rockbiter from the side, pedaling as fast as he can, obviously scared. The scene as the clearing is suddenly ripped in half with a terrible noise. There's a swirl of dust filled up with flying bushes, trees, and rocks. More cracks in the earth appear, and with a blast of dust and dirt, the ground is pulled away into nothing. Cut to interior. Bastion in the attic, reading the book, suddenly startled by a loud crashing noise similar to the clanks caused by the nothing. We are close up on Bastion's face, and he jumps, looking up, startled. Before a long moment, there is only silence in the attic. Then a noise makes him look to one side, then quickly duck his head down, even lower behind the desk. Angle on Custodian, who comes clumping up into the attic, carrying some boxes after having kicked the door shut behind him. The Custodian is a middle-aged man in a bad mood. He tries to set the boxes down, but some other junk is in the way. He finally gives the stuff a kick to one side, half sets, half throws the boxes down, pauses to take a deep breath, and looks up around the attic. The attic, Custodian's point of view. He just sees a big, dark, messy attic. The desk where Bastion was hiding behind, sitting on gym mats, does not reveal him. Bastion, close angle, as he crouches, wide-eyed, just barely out of sight. If the Custodian should walk forward a few feet, he would see the boy. But the Custodian turns, goes clumping loudly back down the stairs, then shuts the door loudly behind him. Bastion waits a few more moments, then slowly sticks his head up, peering around. There is no one there. He seems to be safe for a while. Exhaling slowly, he resumes, sitting up where he was, leaning on the gym mat. Then he opens the large, old, mysterious book and anxiously turns the page, which immediately takes him away from the dusty old attic. Cut to
Exterior, flying through the golden clouds. We are suddenly, almost magically, sailing high above Fantasia at sunset through beautiful golden reddish clouds. There is only the sound of the wind to accompany us as the subjective camera carries us past tiny clouds, which melt past us like wisps of golden smoke, and right into and then out of large puffy pinkish yellow clouds. We are simulating someone's POV, but we don't even care whose it is. The flight is so glorious, we're just glad to be along for the ride. Reverse angle on two strange faces, one on top of the other. It is the Night Hob, arms outstretched, strapped under his living hang glider, the stupid bat, whose face is above. But the contrast is amusing. The wild-eyed Night Hob, his woolly hair blowing in the wind, looking around as he sails through the golden clouds, while above him is the deadpan, expressionless bat, who has his eyes closed as he sails along, wings outstretched, filling the screen.
Faster, you stupid bat! Hey!
The Night Hob suddenly bangs his own head hard up against the bat's body, suddenly jarring the bat awake, his eyes opening.
Stay awake! This is important! Look, there it is, the heart of Fantasia.
The ivory tower, long shot. Through the clouds, we now see an incredible and inspiring sight. An immense white tower stretches miles straight up into pink and gold clouds. It is an incredibly huge, pure white tower, which is broader at the base, but narrower towards the top, which is lost the clouds. The light blue twilight sky makes the pureness of the color almost translucent, a shining shaft of white light. Then suddenly from above, almost filling the frame for a moment, the Night Hob and his stupid bat soared down in a straight line, like a spaceship. Quickly, they get smaller and smaller. Some beautiful music that is both excites and inspires us should accompany this wonderful soaring sensation towards a magical place. Cut to exterior, hillside day. Teeny Weeny races up on his racing snail to the top of the hill, raising a cloud of dust. He takes off his racing goggles, dismounts, tosses the snail a cube of sugar, but his eyes never leave something in the distance. Close angle on Teeny. As he stares off in the distance, a strange glow is on his face now, a light from a distant source. He looks very impressed, almost inspired. Then a rumbling sound is heard behind him, getting closer and closer. He turns around and looks up. Rockbiter pushes his stone bicycle to the top of the hill near Teeny. Close angle on Rockbiter as he stops and just stares off into the distance also, and the strange, almost magical light can be seen on his face as well.
I never knew it was that beautiful.
Exterior flight to Ivory Tower. From the point of view of Nighthawk and the Bat, we now fly over the vast plains towards the incredibly beautiful Ivory Tower. Close angle on Nighthawk's face. As he flies along, music continues. He's rarely happy, but this is a special moment. Nighthawk's POV flying through the clouds. We now get a closer view of the Ivory Tower for a moment, just getting a quick suggestion that it is incredibly big city-state with tiny windows and roofs where thousands of creatures live. The closer we get, the more magnificent the structure becomes, since more details of archways and windows and everything that suggests a world within a world now glimpsed quickly as we soar past. Then the Bat catches an updraft, and sails towards the clouds at the top of the tower. We now see the huge tower framed against the magically golden sky. We are overwhelmed by the enormous height of the tower. With the sound of wind in our ears, we soar right into a golden cloud, and there are a few moments of cloud fog that cover the screen. Then we burst out of the cloud and see the Ivory Tower's top, which is a beautiful round white flower bud like an immense magnolia made of ivory that rests on a brightly lit open terrace where we see a crowd of tiny figures. Close angle on Nighthawk and the Bat. Both are wide-eyed with wonder as they approach closer and closer.
The home of the childlike empress. She can save us from the nothing. She is our hope.
Exterior interior establishing shot of terrace magic hour. We now cut to the large open terrace atop of the Ivory Tower. It is so big we can only see part of its beautiful rounded expanse. In the center of the terrace, with reddish gold clouds, stars, and a light blue sky behind it all, is a strange, beautiful, almost glowing flower bud. Its tall ivory petals now up, and outside, waiting respectfully, almost reverently, are about 24 of the strangest creatures ever seen. They wear fancy robes and garments of every color of the rainbow, and there are no two alike. From this distance, we see some sort of small elfin creature with wings. There is a fish-like head with human legs, a three-headed creature who looks around constantly, and more. The creatures, as we are now amongst them, with the camera panning around slowly behind or beside them, as they eagerly face the beautiful magnolia bud. It is like a book from a mythology combined with fairy tale creatures as we get closer look. A bird's head, an insect-like creature with antennae, a sultan in a turban with an animal's claws, even some human-like cavemen, one human woman with green skin, an aristocratic man with the head of a goat. They all blend together as the most intriguing group of creatures ever seen. Series of quick angles on creatures, and sometimes just parts of creatures, images, glimpses. Some are beautiful, some are bizarre, all intriguing, but the atmosphere in the room is hushed, respectful, as though there was a royal collection of noble men and women outside a king's chamber, except in this case, they wait outside the inner chamber of a goddess, and they know it. There was a low murmur of different voices and sounds as they talk. There seems to be a nervous tension throughout the room. They are waiting. Suddenly, the wait is over. Creatures nudge each other and all get very quiet as they turn and behold a shimmering bright light that comes from inside the magnolia bud as one of the ivory petals slowly lowers. Like a drawbridge, bright, radiant light pours out. The room grows hushed and quiet. Angle on a corner. Over to one side of the huge terrace. From near the bottom, we see the face of the nighthawk slowly peer around, watching the scene in the vast terrace. And then, just above his head, but angled in a downward slant, the face of the stupid bat comes into view, also watching the exciting moment.
The childhood empress will save every creature from the nothing, including stupid bats.
The bat gives him a look, and then turns back to the excitement. The angle on scene. The bright light is almost blinding, but then figures emerge from inside, and we see a strange sight come into view and slowly, majestically move down the ramp-like ivory petal, which is now lowered all the way down. All the creatures move forward, curious and excited. The bright light from behind obscures whatever is coming, add a dramatic feeling to the arrival. Then the petal begins to close. The blinding light is now almost gone, enabling us to see a striking, dignified presence. We see a person who has the respected and commanding manner of a prime minister. Around his neck, he wears the aran, a magical necklace. The crowd, as the creatures start to surge forward, crowding, pushing. The small, fat elephant with wings steps on a bird-like person's foot as they shove forward. A lizard-like man elbows a sultan creature to one side. And many begin chirping, squawking, growling, or talking at once. But there are a few clear comments we hear.
Aaron, I was here first. Listen to me. The Empress has to see me. Please let me through. What about the nothing?
Angle on Chiron and the creatures. As they continue to surge forward, Chiron holds up his hand.
Friends, I know why you are all here. Your people have sent you because we are facing the most catastrophic danger in our entire history. The nothing is destroying Fantasia.
The creatures, reacting with fear and alarm, turn to each other. We now pan over the creatures as they quiet down, listen, deeply concerned.
I also know that as representatives of the thousands of delegates now gathered at the base of the ivory tower, you have come to beseech the Empress for help.
Chiron, close angle.
But I have terrible news. Ever since the nothing invaded our land, the Empress herself has become deathly ill.
Oh, no.
And the court physicians cannot cure her.
The court physicians, three of the strange creatures over to one side, bow their heads in shame and look down.
There seems to be a mysterious link between her illness and the nothing.
The creatures reacting with horrified exchange of looks among themselves, and a quick murmuring of shocked disappointment, but then they grow quiet. Chiron, as the room grows silent.
She is dying, so she cannot save Fantasia.
The creatures reacting first with shocked silence, exchanging horrified looks. Then they panic, all speaking at the same time, a frightened buzz of alarmed voices and sounds.
But we'll be annihilated. That's the end of us all. What can we do?
A close angle on Nighthawk and the Bat, who also exchange looks that convey their fear and alarm. The scene as Chiron holds up his hand amid the confusion.
But there just might be one chance. The plains people who hunt the purple buffalo have among them a great warrior. He is the bravest of the brave. He alone has a chance to fight the nothing and save us. The Empress has already sent for him, so he should be here soon. He is our only hope. His name is Atreyu.
Interior attic. Bastion looks up from his reading, excited about what he had just read. Then he happens to glance over at his knapsack, which has a large, partially faded printed drawing on it, a dramatic illustration of a tall, muscular, bigger-than-life Sioux alien riding a pinto at a dead run beside a huge buffalo. The big warrior has his bow stretched back all the way, arrow poised for flight.
I think this is Matthew. Matthew, I think I had the page number wrong. This is you? Matthew?
Yes, when Atreyu arrived at the ivory tower.
Hey, one line back up.
What?
Just say his name. Atreyu.
Atreyu!
Bastion, his eyes light up at the thought of who this mighty warrior will be, and then turns from the knapsack illustration and eagerly goes back to the book.
When Atreyu arrived at the ivory tower.
Exterior terrace on top of the ivory tower, subjective camera.
The hopes of all Fantasia were with him.
We are slowly moving towards the backs of the strange creatures we saw before. We can hear the crowd murmur, but they still do not turn and look at the slowly moving camera.
Atreyu, he's coming. Oh, the great warrior, he's on the way. Atreyu will be here soon.
And then one creature turns and looks at camera in surprise as we slowly move by. The creature steps back out of the way. Then other creatures nudges yet another, and they all stare and exchange looks before moving out of the way. Then more. Now a different murmur goes through the crowd as they turn and look at camera. The crowd of creatures have now parted and reveals Chiron, looking down, lost in thought. Then he looks up right at the camera.
I'm sorry. This is not the time nor place for children.
Atreyu, who we now see is a small, skinny boy about 11 years old. His hair is long and dark down to his shoulders. His features suggest that of a Cheyenne Indian boy of another time and place. Truly, his sunburnt body and proud way he stands and carries himself strongly suggest each a warrior's culture. He carries a bow and arrow, and there is a knife in his crude leather pants. He wears no shirt, and he looks at Chiron right in the eye.
Didn't you hear what I said, boy? I must ask you to leave.
If you don't want me here, you shouldn't have sent for me.
The creature is reacting in shocked astonishment. The room is instantly quiet. The night hob, as he turns to the bat.
Is he a nutcase?
Angle on Chiron, who successfully controls any reaction.
It was not you we sent for. We want Atreyu.
I am Atreyu.
Not Atreyu the child. Atreyu the warrior.
I am the only Atreyu among the plains people. But I'll be happy to get back to hunting the purple buffalo.
No, wait. Come back, please.
The boy stops and turns around. Close angle on Chiron.
If you really are the Atreyu we sent for, you would be willing to go on a quest?
Angle on Atreyu.
Yes, of course. What kind of quest?
To find
Angle. Go ahead.
To find a cure for the Empress and to save Fantasia.
Atreyu surprised this angle on the creatures in the crowd who exchange serious surprised looks. There's a moment of silence, then angle on Atreyu.
But how can I do that?
I don't know. All I can tell you is just follow your heart.
But where shall I begin?
Nobody can give you any advice. Except this, you must go alone. You must leave all your weapons behind. It will be very dangerous.
Is there any chance of my success?
I don't know. But if you fail, the Empress will surely die, and all of Fantasia will be utterly destroyed.
There's a tense silence in the room and a long pause. Engel on Atreyu, with the crowd of creatures behind him. Atreyu then quietly sets aside his bow and arrows and his knife, then looks at Chiron.
When do I begin?
The creatures react with respectful looks and nodding amongst themselves. Engel on Chiron.
Now, and you must hurry, Atreyu. The nothing grows stronger every day.
Atreyu's POV, as he walks up to the Aran, we see a beautiful golden medallion with two snakes, one black, one white, each holding the tail of the other, forming a never-ending circle.
He who wears the Aran speaks for the Empress. Take it. It will guide and protect you.
Interior attic, where Bastian is engrossed in the story. Then he pauses, turning the book around, staring at the cover. The cover of the book, which has the same snakes forming the same oval that surround the words, the never-ending story. Bastian, as he stares in wonder at the cover, then thinks for a moment.
A little boy.
Then he eagerly returns to the magical pages. Cut to.
Jacob, I think that's you for actions and descriptions. Is Jacob still here?
I was muted. Sorry. Exterior hillside with the ivory tower in the distance. Morning. It is a beautiful red dawn. A rainbow surrounds the ivory tower. We see a hillside and we hear the sound of hoofbeats. A horse and rider are approaching. Then Atreyu comes riding hard towards us on his beloved pony Artax. He rides in a fast, determined way. With the beautiful ivory tower behind him, we're impressed at what a tremendous horseman this boy is. As he rides by, we see first Teeny Weeny move into frame, watching Atreyu, and then the snail. And they seriously watch him go by.
Farewell, Atreyu.
Close to Engel on Nighthawk, as he stands next to his bat, who hangs upside down, his back to us. The Nighthawk nudges the bat, who makes the impossible-looking head moment, where he raises his head up towards us, and they watch Atreyu ride by. The horse's hoofbeats now retreating in the distance. Close on the Rockbiter, who is also staring off, watching the boy ride off. The Rockbiter seems very serious and speaks quietly, with a quiver in his voice.
Our hopes are with you.
Exterior, vast Fantasian landscape day. Atreyu rides off across a vast open panorama of Fantasia's beautiful but unique rocky landscape. We see an immense wide-angle view of the beautiful morning light causing strange shadows which are thrown across reddish rocks, twisted blue-green trees, a blue creek, and 3 white unicorns and a white unicorn colt. The dawn light illuminates this fascinating world where horse and rider now grow smaller and smaller, disappearing into the vast rocky landscape of Fantasia. The quest has begun. We cut to exterior dark storm clouds day. Fill Fantasia's skies. Huge, furious, churning thunderheads riffy the air. There's a flash of lightning, then a booming, deep, rolling thunder. Exterior mysterious cave, which we are slowly moving towards. During this strange storm, the cave is sinister, and there is something very scary about it. Then there is a violent clap of thunder, which immediately triggers from deep inside the cave, from deep inside hell itself, a horrible howling. Something dark and evil and vicious is responding to the thunder, or the thunder is in response to the supernatural sounding howling. We continue to move closer to the front of this cave, moving straight into the frightening darkness, into the entrance of hell itself. A flash of lightning makes us jump, then more thunder, immediately answered by a very loud howling. Whatever is in this cave has been moving closer to us. As we move even closer, closer, we are now at the mouth of the cave. We see in the blackness that almost fills the screen that this terrible animal force inside has two large green eyes. They could be anything, and we wish the camera would stop bringing us closer and closer. Then, all at once, lightning and thunder, a vicious snarl, and suddenly something horrible and wolf-like leaps right at us, and the snarl blends into the shrill scream. In Terror Attic Day, where the horrible howl of the supernatural creature blends into the very loud school buzzer, which makes Bastion jump. The bell is a shrill scream, and we realize how loud it is a few moments later when it stops and Bastion's heart starts again. In the sudden silence, Bastion hears the distant sounds of the children going to lunch, which quickly fade away. Bastion comes to reality now, and he remembers something. He sets his book aside, gets to his feet, and peers around the attic as if trying to remember where he may have seen something. He moves around some boxes, and then he looks up and sees it. A stuffed wolf's head, piled upon some boxes, along with some other things from the biology department. The wolf's head is frozen forever in the act of snarling and lunging. His eyes seem to stare through Bastion, and his teeth look sharp and white. Then the strange noise is heard, not unlike the sound of a low growl coming from an animal. Bastion, as he stands his ground, but his eyes dart around nervously. What is going on? What is that noise? What is real? What is his imagination? Then he looks straight up at a skylight, where drops of rain have started hitting the glass. Dark storm clouds quickly move across the sky, and there is a low rolling thunder, which along with the rain has caused a growling like noise. Bastion, who looks back at the stuffed wolf's head, which is now suddenly illuminated by a flash of lightning. Bastion looks at it a moment more, and then again, distant thunder. Bastion goes back to his gym mat behind the desk and sits down. He takes a deep breath and looks uncomfortable once more over towards the wolf's head, then opens the book and reads.
Matthew, you can take this one too. Matthew, are you awake?
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah, began following Atreyu.
What's that?
The evil creature that
Yes.
walked out of the entrance to hell.
Exterior, vast Fantasian landscape day, and a rapid traveling shot by a Steadicam is quickly running low and fast over the ground, tracking Atreyu's horse's hoof prints across the vast Fantasian landscape, while we continue to hear.
I began following Atreyu.
Faster and faster, this creature must be running right on the trail. Side angle as the fast-moving Gwark stays on the trail, and now we can hear panting as this predator runs along, and we see large, big black paws, so that we know this wolf-like monster is big and terrifying. Cut to exterior giant forest day. Atreyu, close angle, is sleeping on the grass somewhere outdoors. He may be a hard charging hero, but he also can also be an exhausted little boy, where he seems to be quiet, peaceful, and safe. Long shot of the giant forest. We can now see the whole scene. Artax, the pony, is standing near his sleeping master, alert as if on guard. But the place Atreyu has chosen to rest seems so safe to be enchanted. This is the giant forest. In the land of the giants, Atreyu sleeps in the midst of several trees that must be Fantasia's equivalent to the giant redwoods, because all we see are the base of the large exposed roots of monstrous and beautiful trees that must be 20 meters wide. They are deep brown with clearly defined thick bark and beautiful moss grass that covers the huge roots and ground like emerald carpet. Adding to the striking beauty of the giant forest are the sharply defined rays of sunlight that slant through the trees, made visible in a haunting way by thick gray morning mist. Close angle on Atreyu, sleeping. But then Artax leans in and nuzzles his sleeping master, gently, only gently. Doesn't work because Atreyu pushes his friend's nose away and tries to sleep. So Artax pushes him a little harder, snorting a little, and Atreyu opens one sleepy eye. What is it? What is it, Artax? Is it time to go already? But the pony just makes a little whinny and nuzzles the boy again. Oh, it's time to eat. Atreyu and Artax. As the boy sits up, stretches and yawns, he looks around through the peaceful mist and the dappled patterns of leaves and branches on the scene. Then he gets up, reaches into his equivalent of a saddlebags, gets out some bread and an apple, a type of sandwich, breaks off half for Artax, feeds it to him, and they both eat. Good idea. Interior, attic, day. Bastian leans back from the book, then grabs his lunch and quickly starts to eat his sandwich and apple.
No, it's a great idea.
He has his mouth full, but then hesitates and puts some of the sandwich away.
No, not too much. We still have a long way to go.
Exterior, the giant forest day. Atreyu and Artax are eating, enjoying the beautiful slanting sunlight through the giant trees and the quiet. But then it isn't quiet anymore. There is the crunching sound, something walking across dry leaves and sticks. Together, Artax and Atreyu quickly turn and look. A little man slowly walks past them, crying. He is a bearded, middle-aged man, tanned from working outdoors, who wears the crude, simple clothes of a peasant. Rough woolen shirt and a leather vest, homemade pants designed for work, a wide-brimmed hat that keeps the rain off, and heavy shoes. This man is only about 4 feet tall, but what makes him unusual, apart from the fact that he's sobbing, not noticing Atreyu and Artax, is that all his clothes are much too big for him. As he slowly shuffles by, we realize that his funny little shuffle walk is because of his huge shoes, a pair of pants with legs just too too long and waist too wide. His shirt sleeves are just over his hands, hiding them, and his hat is much too big and falling over his eyes. He walks on by, sort of sliding his feet along. Atreyu and Artax, who just stare. Atreyu's food is halfway to his mouth, but he doesn't move for a moment. He's so startled by this strange sight, the boy and horse exchange looks. Then Atreyu puts his food away. The scene. Atreyu steps forward a few feet. We can still hear the man crying. What's wrong? The little man, whom we shall know as Parmenter, stops walking, awkwardly turns toward them in his big shoes, and tries to stop crying. Who are you?
I'm a giant.
He now stops crying, but seems lost and confused.
Do you, by any chance, have an extra pair of small shoes? And I need a new pair again today.
No, I'm sorry, I don't. Did you say you're a giant?
This is the giant's forest, in the land of giants, and I'm a giant. My name's Pamamenta.
Hello, my name is Atreyu.
I'm the last giant. My entire tribe was all wiped out. I'm very tired. These clothes are quite heavy.
I'm very sorry. Let me help you.
No, stay there. Don't touch me. There is something terrible on me. It's the nothing.
I thought the nothing was a violent force.
Oh, it can be very violent, but it can also be quite quiet and deadly. You probably haven't noticed, but I used to be much bigger. But since the nothing, I've been shrinking. I shrank a little all the time now.
That's unbelievable. Parmenter looks around, then gestures towards the ground.
I walked through these woods the day before the nothing came.
Atreyu also looks down, stepping back. Angle from high above, long shot, where we now can see something from up high that we couldn't have noticed from the ground. Atreyu is standing in and was sleeping in a giant's footprint, clearly outlined in the ground where it is sunk down a little. The footprint is in the outline of a shoe, 10 feet and 4 long and 4 feet wide. Atreyu stares at it in amazement. You were a giant? Close angle on Parmenter.
I still am. Now, I'm just a small giant.
From this angle, with Parmenter standing by a large rock, he takes off his hat, hangs it on a nearby branch, and he wipes his eyes with a handkerchief. But we notice a strange thing. His sleeve now seems a few inches longer. His short collar seems wider. Is it possible? Parmenter seems oblivious to this. Atreyu, close angle, doing a small double take, reacting as he too notices Parmenter has gotten smaller. The clothes on Parmenter now seem even bigger, but Parmenter doesn't notice or mention it, so Atreyu averts his eyes, not wanting to be rude. Is there anything I can do, Parmenter?
The only thing is to hurry and stop the nothing.
But where should I start? Angle on Parmenter.
Go to the Swamp of Sadness, to the Shell Mountain. Ask Morla, the Ancient One, what to do. She should know. She's the oldest and wisest creature in Fantasia.
Angle on the scene as Atreyu, still stunned by Parmenter's shrinkage, jumps on his horse. Parmenter, I will do my best to help you. Angle on Parmenter. He is shrinking even more, but his clothes and hat remain the same size.
Wait, wait! Are you sure you don't have any other shoes? You see, I have to change clothes every day. When I wake up in the morning, my clothes are bigger than the day before. Only now, I may have to change clothes every hour.
I'm sorry. I have to go now, Parmenter.
Okay, keep your spirits up while you're in the swamp of sadness. Those who give in to lives of sadness shrink into the swamp.
Angle on Atreyu and Artax as he starts to ride away. I will! Goodbye, Parmenter! Parmenter medium shot. We now see that while the rock, the branch, his clothes, and hat have all stayed the same size, we're used to seeing Parmenter is smaller than ever. He now stands with both feet in one shoe. Parmenter close angle. He reaches for his now huge-looking hat and waves it frantically. He is smaller than ever.
Hurry up!
Then he puts the hat on his head, which falls down to his shoulders, covering his entire head. Exterior, snows of eternity, day. Atreyu's long ride across the immense and varied Fantasia now takes him slowly up an ice desert. With cold winds and snow all around, he pulls his homemade blanket around him, trying to stay warm as he and Artax moves through the frozen white world of ice.
Atreus' epic journey took him across the snows of eternity.
And we cut to the exterior, desert of loneliness day.
Then he and Artax had to swim the rivers of chance, then cross the desert of loneliness.
Now Atreyu and Artax are slowly moving through the sand and hot, barren wastes. It is a vast desert that must be crossed. Atreyu's body glistens with sweat, and Artax seems exhausted, his tongue hanging out. But on they go.
Exterior giant forest day. Gmork's point of view. We are suddenly moving low and fast over the forest lawn, across branches and leaves, with simulating the evil wolf-like Gmork's rapid tracking. We can hear him panting, but he seems to never tire. Evil doesn't sleep. He runs over gigantic exposed tree roots and stops, looking at a huge giant's footprint in the earth, and nearby, two empty large pairs of shoes and a hat. It is Atreus' resting place. Reverse angle as we look now through branches and bushes into dark shadows and get a blurred quick look at Gmork. But all we can make out is a wolf-like dark head and two glowing green eyes. But it's enough to scare us. We hear a low, terrible growl. Angle on footprint. We hear the sound of panting as the Gmork runs closer. The strange, frightening shadow of a wolf's head and part of his body now enters the shot. Over the part of the big footprint, we hear loud sniffing. The Gmork is on Atreus' trail, and he knows it. The shadow raises its head and makes a terrifying howl of triumph. And then the shadow jumps out of the frame and runs on. As we hear his triumphant howling start to fade into the distance, we slowly pan over to one of the little giant's empty shoes and slowly move in on the top of one of the shoes. Top part of one shoe, extreme close angle. We have cut to the top of one of Parmenter's shoes, which is just sitting there. The top fills our frame. The shoelace near the top of the shoe seems thick on the screen, but then we see a bizarre sight. Two tiny human hands, as if from a person about 4 inches high, gripping the top of the shoe from inside. And we see the startled face of Parmenter, the giant, as he pulls himself up into view for a fast look around. Exterior giant forest day, Gmork's point of view, running fast as the evil creature rushes on through the forest, which we experience. Gmork is on the right trail, running faster and faster after Atreyu, and again howls. We feel his triumph. We cut to the exterior swamps of sadness, hilltop day. It's daylight, but there's an overcast, murky, dismal feeling. Artax climbs up a hill, panting. Atreyu is slumped in the saddle. They look exhausted. They both stare ahead, and what they see does not pick up their spirits. Swamps of sadness. Just ahead is the most dismal, dreary, fog-shrouded swamp anyone could imagine. Strange bent trees stick out of the low mist, and out of the few islands of moist earth, vines hang down from broken tree to bent tree, conveying a sense of defeat. It is as though that an entire gigantic swamp has decided to quit, but it took too much effort to die. There's almost no movement. Who would care enough about anything to go to the trouble of activity?
Artax, my friend, they must be the swamps of sadness. They certainly aren't the hills of happiness.
Reluctantly, the horse moves forward towards the edge of the terrible, dismal place. Exterior snows of eternity, day. Now Gmork is running very fast, faster than we've seen him go yet, over the ice and snow. Side angle, as the Gmork races on, we see the horse's hoof prints clearly in the snow, and the huge black paw prints that run into the edge of the frame as Gmork closes in for the kill. He is relentless. We hear panting. Nothing can stop him. We cut to exterior, the swamps of sadness, dismal day. Atreyu and Artax are now well into the horrible swamp. The boy is leading the horse. It is a gray-green mess with vines clutching at their feet, dead-looking trees blocking the light, and an atmosphere designed to prevent hope.
Morla is so wise. Why would she live here?
The going is slow. The murky water has been ankle deep. But now the going gets a little worse. But they keep moving forward. Close angle on Atreyu, who is leading Artax by the reins. Atreo makes himself keep going, determined, even though the going gets worse and worse. Then, as he moves through the water and the muck, Atreo feels Artax stop, so he turns. Artax and Atreo. Atreo is startled to see that Artax is sunk up over a foot into the water and mud. Atreo quickly moves to one side of the horse, trying to get him to turn around and go back.
Come on, boy. We can't go this way. You're too heavy. Come on, Artax. Turn around.
But Artax is not turning. He just stands there. Atreo looks down. Close on angle on horse's legs, as Artax is actually sinking before our eyes. The level of the muddy water is now almost up to his knees. The scene as Atreo now fights panic, but quickly tries to turn him around, leading them, shoving.
Artax, turn around! You have to! Now!
But then Atreo realizes something that we now notice too. Artax is not turning, either because he physically cannot or because he isn't even trying. Artax just stands there, his head held low, acting listless. Close on angle on horse's legs, as the horse now sinks even more, the mud now above his knees. The scene as Atreo first tries to get in front of Artax and now pulls him forward in the other direction.
Artax, you're sinking! Come on! Now!
But Artax just lets himself be pulled at. He doesn't react at all, and yet he continues to sink. Close angle on Atreo as he rushes up to Artax, hugging his horse, patting him, coaxing him.
Artax, please. You're letting the swamp of sadness get to you. You have to try. Please, boy, you've got to care. You've got to try. For me. You're my friend. I love you.
Close angle on horse's legs as the rising water is within a foot of his body, and still Artax just stands there. The scene.
Artax, you've got to care. Fight against the sadness. Artax!
But the horse is still sinking quickly into the quicksand and water. The water has reached the horse's body. Close angle on Atreo, who is crying and screaming.
You stupid horse! You've got to move or you'll die! Artax, move! Please! Move it!
Close angle on Artax as his reins are pulled and jerked on, but he doesn't act like a horse in panic, a horse fighting, fighting to live. Instead, he just lowers his head, not caring. The water level, which is now halfway up Artax's body, the horse is sinking fast now. Atreo, who fights for the horse's life, every muscle in his small body is stretching and strained as he tugs and pulls, tears streaming down his face. He's losing, and he knows it.
Artax, don't give up. I'm not giving up. I won't quit. Please, Artax!
Angle on horse and boy, and it is a horrible sight. Only the horse's head is above the water. The boy, in knee-deep water for him, is leaning almost over backwards as he pulls on the reins. It is a lost cause now, but Atreo still doesn't give up.
Artax, please!
We cut to exterior desert of loneliness day. With a terrible howling, the Gamorreek is closing in faster and faster, running over the hot sand of the desert area. We're low to the ground and experience the chase with a subjective camera and hear the wolf panting. Artax's hoofprints are in the sand, and the Gamorreek does not ever leave the trail. We cut to exterior, the swamps of sadness, day, long shot. The swamps of sadness, and again, we notice the immense dreary world and how quiet it is. To make a noise, one has to care. So the swamp seems still and silent. Another long shot of swamp. Everything is quiet and still and sad. and we hear a muffled sob from a little boy. Ankle on a tray. He's sitting down on a rare bit of high, moist ground, and we see him from far enough back so that we can see Artax is no longer there, no longer alive. Atreyu holds his head in his hands as we slowly move in on him. He looks like the loneliest boy in the world, sitting in the middle of his huge swamp. Close angle on Atreyu as we see that he is dirty, exhausted, close to giving up, and there are tears brimming in his eyes. He looks back to where he last saw Artax, but then looks away quickly.
I can't give it to it.
And he forces himself to get to his feet and walk on alone. Cut to interior attic day. Bastian is crying very hard. Tears stream down his cheeks. He gets out his handkerchief and wipes his eyes and has to put the book aside for a moment while he blows his nose. And then he just looks around for a moment, sighs, and goes back to the book. But then he starts to cry again. Exterior Atreyu in the swamp. Atreyu trudges along through the swamp. He's caught up now in his sadness. The fog is thicker than ever. The time of day is difficult to tell here, but like everything else, it doesn't seem to matter. Atreyu pays little attention to where he's going. He seems to be wandering in circles, and then he hears something and looks up. A strange formation rises out of the fog, a high, round mountain covered with uneven greenish squares, like large sections of shell. It rises slowly up out of the muck and the fog. Atreyu comes to life a little, staring at it.
Shell Mountain.
He goes forward and starts climbing up the mountain, using the rough, hard squares as footholds and handholds. Atreyu seems to have regained some energy. He finally reaches the round dome at the top and stands and looks around. Long shot. Shell Mountain in the swamps of sadness. No creature, no sound, nothing. Just a small boy standing on top of a mysterious dome. The swamp is mist-shrouded and lonely and sad. Atreyu, as he peers out into the fog.
Mola? Mola, the Ancient One, where are you?
No answer. Nothing moves. It is as though nothing in the world makes any difference. Atreyu sighs, defeated by it all for a moment. Then suddenly a strange motion. The mountain trembles. Atreyu gets down, low, looking for a way to hang on and not fall. There's a deep rumbling sound, and then a gurgling and bubbling, and then a voice that sounds like it comes from somewhere as deep as the sea and as old as time is heard through the swamp. Someone is crawling around on us. Atreyu looks around in horror, and then the mountain starts moving again. It is growling. Wide shot. The mountain grows larger and larger, and mud slides off and splashes down into the swamp. Atreyu seems trapped on top of a rising mountain. Another rumbling sound and more movement from whatever Atreyu is sitting on. Atreyu yells, loses his balance as he steps, half sliding and half falling off. Atreyu tries to grab a handhold on the way down, but there's too much shaking. The mountain is too slippery. Atreyu falls. Atreyu lands in the mud. Scared, he scrambles forward through the mud, looking back over his shoulder. The mysterious rising dome, it continues to rise out of the swamp in a frightening way. Atreyu comes to a small tree and begins quickly climbing, and then stops, grabbing his right leg in pain. Another angle, Atreyu in the tree now stares in horror at the mountain just in front of him. It has stopped rising, and now there's a large cave in front of him. The mountain must be 50 feet high and 60 feet long. The huge cave is as dark as the night. Atreyu just stares into the darkness, and then there's a watery sloshing sound from inside the cave, echoing. Black and moves around inside, black mud moves around inside the cave. And then something very big is starting to come out. Atreyu holds onto the tree. In terror, he's 10 feet up in the air himself, eye level with whatever this monster is now coming out towards him. A craggy rock edges out of the dark cave. It is larger than a house. It is huge, horrifying face. And then it opens its eyes, and we cut to interior attic day. Bastion screams. Exterior swamps of sadness day. Bastion's terrified scream echoes through the swamps. The monstrous face stops. Its eyes move to the left and right, as if searching for the source of the scream. Atreyu looks around too. Interior attic day. Bastion looks up from his book, totally confused. He shakes his head in disbelief.
That's impossible.
That's impossible. They couldn't have heard me.
A pause. He slowly continues reading. We cut to.
Sorry, I just want to clarify who's Bastion in this scene. Does anyone think they're Bastion in this scene? Yeah, Jackson, I thought so. Okay. Thank you, Jackson. You want to just take that line again?
Okay. That's impossible. They couldn't have heard me.
A pause. He slowly continues reading. And we cut to.
Exterior, swamps of sadness, day. We now see that the monster's face is one huge, wrinkled, greenish-black head, with a long, wrinkled neck, skin like an elephant's, and eyes as large as black ponds. The head is that of Morla, the Ancient One, who is a gigantic swamp turtle. Atreyu is only a few feet away from her head, and the Shell Mountain is her shell.
Are you Morla, the Ancient One?
Not that it matters, but yes.
Please help me, Morla. Do you recognize this?
Well, we haven't seen the Orion in a long time, have we? No, we haven't.
Is there someone else here?
We haven't spoken to anyone else for thousands of years, have we? No, we haven't. So we started talking to ourselves. And just a few hundred years ago, we started answering, right? Right.
Morla suddenly starts to sneeze. It is one of those slow-building sneezes, but you can tell it will be a mighty blast.
Achoo!
The sneeze is as loud as a cannon blast and almost as powerful, and is aimed right at Atreyu. Angle on Atreyu in the tree, as the sneeze blasts him right out of the tree. Atreyu falls out of the tree, lands in the soft, swampy ground, and the tree is bent, and the branches bend, then shake after the blast of wind passes. Atreyu gamely climbs back up the tree to his place.
Morla, I bring terrible news. Did you know the Empress is very ill?
Not that it matters, but yes. Actually, we don't care, do we, old girl? No, we don't.
If I don't save her, she will die. There's a terrible nothing sweeping over Fantasia. Don't you care about that?
No, we don't even care whether or not we care, do we? No, we don't.
How can you not care about life or death or anything?
We're old. We're very old. We've seen it all and then some. Birth, death, innocence, evil, peace, war. Oh, everything goes full circle.
Morla's eyes close. Her head goes back.
Do you have a cold?
No, we're allergic to youth. We sneeze when we're around anyone under 300. Achoo!
Again, a loud and mighty blast. Who is again Atreyu, who is again right in the line of fire. The tree bends and shakes, and Atreyu falls down to a lower part of the tree, but grabs the branches and doesn't fall out of the tree, and then starts climbing back to his place. No one said a quest would be easy.
You know how I can help the Empress, don't you?
Not that it matters, but yes, we do.
But if you don't tell me and the nothing keeps coming, you'll die too, both of you.
Die? Now that at least would be something.
Morla's eyes close. Her head starts back.
Achoo!
Atreyu, close angle. Atreyu is ready this time. He is tightly hugging the tree as hard as he can. He squeezes the tree, waiting for the blast, but then there is only the sound of Morla exhaling. Atreyu looks up. False alarm. Then he relaxes, letting go of his tight grip on the tree.
Please help me. You said you know the answer.
Achoo!
The sudden blast knocks the unsuspecting Atreyu out of the tree, and out of frame. Angle on Morla. She looks and acts grumpier than usual, if that's possible.
I'm tired of sneezing. Go away. Nothing matters.
Atreyu climbing the tree. He's climbing back up again to his same place, not giving up.
It's not true that nothing matters to you, because if it didn't really matter at all, you could tell me just as easily.
The ancient turtle now begins to make a deep-throated chuckle, amused at this.
Clever boy. How long has it been since anyone amused us? Oh, about 3,000 years. Is that right? Oh, yes, at least that.
Tell me, please.
We can only tell you that the childlike Empress needs the courage and spirit of a special creature. That will save Fantasia, save her.
Where can I find this special creature? Where?
We don't know. But ask the Southern Oracle.
How can I get there?
You can't. It is 10,000 miles away.
Close angle on Atreyu, who feels suddenly sad, almost defeated. He sighs, looking down.
That's so far.
Oh, that's right. Oh, forget it. Give up.
But then Atreyu begins climbing down out of the tree. Now he feels like there is almost no hope. Atreyu and Morla, as Morla watches him climb out of the tree.
Are you going to the Southern Oracle? Even though we told you it can't be done?
Not that it matters, but yes.
The ancient turtle goes back into her shell. As Atreyu limps away, we hear Morla's final comment echoing from inside the blackness of her shell.
Does it matter if he tries? No, it doesn't, because he'll never make it anyway.
The enormous shell starts sinking, bubbling, gurgling. Then only the mountain is left. Interior attic, day. Bastion hears something and looks up. It is the sounds of children leaving school for the day. A stampede of little feet, lockers slamming shut. Cries of "Bye!" and "Wait for me!" are heard. Then the sounds of the children are heard outside, and then they fade away. Bastion gets up as the last of the yelling and lockers being shut is heard, goes down the attic stairs, hesitates at the inside of the attic door, and listens. He doesn't hear anything now. He opens the door and peeks down the hall. A last few children run out the far doors. The school corridor is now empty and silent. Someone, a last teacher or a custodian, turns off some of the lights and the school grows darker inside, and deathly quiet, and creepy. Bastion returns to the attic, now very aware of the eerie quiet, except for the continual rain on the roof. It is not yet dark, but it is an overcast rainy afternoon, and darkness is not far away. Suddenly, there is a flash of lightning. Biology and drama department props are suddenly illuminated in a suddenly frightening way. A stuffed owl seems to peer down on Bastion just before an attack. A strange mannequin in a pirate's costume who seems to be watching him. A full-length skeleton that seems to grin. Bastion suddenly sees a figure moving, and jumps. Then he sees it was only his reflection in a large, antique-style mirror. That did it. Bastion hurries over, gets the book and his knapsack, and starts back towards the door. This is getting too scary. Time to go home! But then Bastion pauses at the door, thinking.
No. Atreyu wouldn't quit now.
So Bastion bravely starts back towards his reading place. Suddenly, there is a loud clap of thunder and a flash of lightning. This startles Bastion, who turns, then trips over something, and falls back, knocking over a tall pile of boxes. The boxes fall towards Bastion, landing on one side of him. He has fallen back. The boxes and junk land beside him. He looks up and sees the stuffed wolf's head. Falling right on him. A flash of lightning illuminates it in a frightening way, and it seems to be lunging right at him. Side angle as the wolf's head, mouth open in a terrible snarl, falls towards Bastion as the boy falls back even more, terror across his face. They are nose to nose. Bastion screams in fright. Thunder rumbles and turns into a howling sound. Exterior. Swamps of Sadness, day. Gamork's point of view. The terrible howl of the wolf-like creature is heard, blending into the thunder we just heard. The evil Gamork runs quickly through the swamps of sadness. We hear sniffing sounds. He is right on Atreyu's trail. Cut to exterior, Swamps of Sadness, day. Atreyu fights on determinedly through the black swamp. His face is very pale and creased with pain, his body very muddy and caked with blood from his wounds. He struggles with his injured right leg. He stops and inspects the deep wound. He limps and staggers further, becomes weaker all the time, his legs occasionally buckling under him, but he struggles on. Cut to exterior, Swamps of Sadness, day. Gamork's point of view. Gamork is on the move, rapidly. Somehow, this supernatural creature can hurry through the swamp without getting stuck. And we hear the panting as it hurries through. It is moving fast now, closing in for the kill. Exterior, Swamps of Sadness, day. Atreyu is in a different part of the swamp, up to his waist, in muck. It grows darker. He's exhausted, absolutely spent, but he trudges on, going slowly. He looks around. He's lost, and it looks like soon he'll decide Morlo was right and just sink back into the swamp. But for the moment, he has a little strength left and a little determination and keeps going, very slowly. He sinks ever deeper into the quagmire, the slime coming up to his thighs. His movements become more sluggish. He is gasping for breath. He can now hardly remain standing. Utterly exhausted, he aims toward a jutting tree root, reaching out desperately to it. He manages to cling onto it. He tries to pull himself up, but he is too weak. He grits his teeth and heaves, but he can't manage to pull himself up. Slowly, his grip on the root weakens. The boy slowly begins to sink back into the swamp. Exterior swamps of sadness. The boy is sinking back, giving into it mind, body, and spirit. He has no strength left. Then he hears a magical, melodic sound, a heavenly sound as if from another world, trying to exert its pull over him. Atreyu's point of view, up through the dark treetops of the swamp, to now be bathed in a bright, golden aura shining through the clouds, with gold sunlight streaming. Atreyu is the small, distant image of a boy with incredible grace through the sheer exhaustion. Atreyu's face as his hopes rise. His hands grip the branches he can try to use to pull himself out of the swamp before it's too late. Golden images may fill the heart as he nears his end in a dark, dismal, green swamp. Exterior, swamps of sadness, day. As the evilness runs low and fast over the swamp's surface, seeing Atreyu sinking into the swamp, only 100 feet away. Running faster than ever, the wolf-like creature rushes forward towards Atreyu. We can hear his snarling. Faster and faster! Atreyu's vulnerable body is 75 feet away. He'll be attacked any second. 50 feet away. The Gamork will rip him to pieces. 25 feet away. Atreyu's back is to us. He's helpless. 15 feet away. The snarl builds. 10 feet! A shadow from above covers Atreyu, and a giant pair of white claws swoop down into frame, gently grab the boy, and lift him up out of the frame. The shadow disappears. The boy's dangling feet are lunged at by the Gamork. He jumps, but too late. The Gamork's fury at missing his prey by inches knows no limits as he snaps and snarls, going almost insane in anger at barely missing the boy. Angle on sky from over the wolf-like Gamork's shoulders. A dragon who carries a small, exhausted boy in his claws. It is a distant image, a quick glimpse, soon lost among the twisted tops of the trees in the swamp. And there is a giant wolf howl in pure rage and echoes like something from hell itself. Cut to interior attic, day.
Woo!
Bastion is sitting behind his desk, reading this very intensely, but now leans back. Bastion seems almost exhausted by all this. Then he eagerly turns the page of the old book, and his eyes widen as he reads.
After days and nights of being unconscious, Atreyu slowly opens his eyes.
That is where we'll pause for today.
Good job, everyone.
Good job.
Nice reading, you all.
Oh, that was fun.
Mhm.
You guys were all so good.
Aw, so are you.
Mhm.
Oh.
Thank you so much for taking the actions in Swamps of Sadness, Vicky. I did not hold it together. I was very glad I was off camera. You did a great job.
And I had to do all the really sad parts.
Oh my God, you were part of the reason I was sobbing over here. Oh my God, that
I'm
scene is
glad.
horrible.
She was just so sad. I was like, no, don't cry on camera. Oh, it's so bad. I mean, I started to at points, so I was just like, oh, thank God I'm done.
I mean, even if crying on camera worked for that scene. It was-
Yes, of course it does. Just That part always makes me so emotional. I'm always like, I was like amazed. I actually managed to hold it together where I was just barely crying, not really, not like utterly sobbing like I normally do.
I'm just glad
Then,
we got a hold of the script too. So here's, I don't know if you have,
yeah.
I'm gonna take my video background off so you can actually see the cover of this one. I didn't have a chance to cover
Aw.
the let's see here, to
And there's beautiful Noah in your background. So beautiful.
there we go. So there's the cover.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
Signed by everyone.
That's amazing.
wow.
These are unfortunate. This is just a copy of them, but it's still pretty cool to have.
Very cool.
So cool. Yeah, Noah did such a great job. Like behind the scenes here, they had the horse actually on a like it was like pretty real. It was very practical what they did here. In fact, Noah, who plays Atreyu, almost drowned at one point in the scene because his foot got stuck. So they had a lever that pulled it down into the swamp. Like, so you're lowering. So that's how they did the sinking. And the horse almost started freaking out. Noah caught his leg underneath there, and while it was going down, it almost got pulled down into into the swamp. At least that's what I read. I don't know if that's true, but that's what I read. I read that somewhere. So there are parts where that feels so real and so like, yeah. And gosh, Morla is so mean.
That's Sir Rex a lot in the background,
Oh, cute Sir Rex a lot.
and I have to mute often when he's in the room.
You have two of them.
This is
They're
one, she's 18. He's like
Wow.
a year. So I got the old one and the young one.
so which one's the one that is usually meowing for food at this
This
time
is
of night?
Gwen and Misty are both usually meowing for food. Yeah, that's what she's doing in here. She wants food. He just wants trouble. Oh my God, Rexy!
Kittens.
Hon-
My cat was always like
Honestly, you guys, when I had my first break,
that.
I went running to tell my husband, this is just fabulous. It's so
Aw.
good.
The writing is just beautiful. I think this is one of the most beautifully written scripts we've read here.
Yeah,
It's just a
yeah,
yeah.
it's written stylistically just very different from most film scripts. There's a lot of prose. It reads very close to a novel. I mean, if it wasn't for the transitions, like exterior, interior, all that, it'd be pretty damn close. It'd basically be an audio drama or
I
something.
would I mean I like it. I actually prefer scripts to be this way. I like the
Yeah,
descriptiveness of these
novelistic.
scripts because it really gives so much that you like even for the set design people and the director and the I mean it's so good and just it reads very Tolkien to me and I'm
Hmm. Yeah.
Tolkien's like my favorite author and I actually have the Neverending Story by Michael and I have the translation of it and it
Hmm.
reads like this too.
Yeah.
It's just simply stunning and I'm glad they kept that stylistic design with the script.
Yeah, and
It
I was just about to
really
say the
has.
same thing. I was wondering maybe it was that was the result of his input as much as they ignored him. I mean,
Michael End, yeah.
yeah, regarding this film, I mean, I wonder if that was just the fact that it was based on a pretty well-known book at the time that the screenwriter might have made that conscious choice to try to imitate it to some degree. And yeah, I can see Tolkien in here. I mean, maybe a bit of channeling that.
hmm
Although,
I have no problems with it. In fact, I mean, this is how I write when I write scripts too. And people are
yeah.
like, you can't write that much in script. Now I can be like, Neverending Story did it and they're fantastic. Did that.
Princess
I'm
Bride
kidding.
does that
But
too. Their Princess Bride script again based on a novel, and it reads like a novel when you are reading A&D.
oh, and it's just beautiful. And it's like, as a cat was saying, I had a hard time scrolling down because I was so into listening to it. The only thing keeping from going forward.
But we went just a little bit past halfway on the script.
Yeah.
I think four more scenes in it, but So
At least it's a little bit of a higher note than I thought with,
I didn't. Yes, I didn't. I
Bob
didn't.
Horse saving him.
Death of the horse.
Mhm.
That's where the halfway point is, though.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was actually thinking it was going to end there.
Yeah. Just leave everyone crying.
Oh man. One thing that's really interesting that's different from the movie, you don't have parameter. You don't have him at all in the
Yeah.
movie.
Him,
I'm wondering if that was a budgeting issue or what, or if that
Yeah,
just stopped the story where it was, because they never he never encounters him. There's like a indication from the reading of the script that he went to all these places, but you don't see all of them.
hmm
Just
Did
fascinating.
did someone in the movie, I forget, tell him to go to Morla? Because
No,
yeah.
no, that's that's also missing.
well,
yeah,
someone tells him
it's
about the swamps of sadness because I thought
Yeah.
not to be too sad. I don't know where that comes in though. That
yeah. I don't know that the Parmenter scene was even filmed, was it?
I
I,
have no idea.
I mean, obviously, if it was deleted. But to my knowledge, it's not a cut scene. It's just in the script. Never made it to the.
Never made it. Probably because of budgeting reasons or something. I'm not sure, but I do know that they put it instead as a voiceover from Bastion about the swamps of sadness.
Yeah.
And he's the one who basically does not more or less parameters, whole thing about the swamp.
Yeah.
You need to be careful of the swamps of sadness. I just watched this movie not that long ago. Still cried the swamps of sadness. That music, and that was playing in my head the whole time. Like I know this music so well. Like when you first see the every towers, you're like bum bum bum. I'm like hearing that in my head, dum bum bum bum
On that
bum.
note,
That's so
there's
good.
I know there's somebody else from LA here. I need to mention this. There is a bar in Hollywood. I don't know if you're familiar with it, called Scum and Villainy Cantina. It's a Star Wars bar, but it's a bunch. The menu is themed after all sorts of different fantasy and sci-fi properties, and they have this new cocktail called Our Taxes Tears.
No.
And when people and get this,
Oh.
get this, when people buy it, if somebody buys it, the bartender hits a button and an audio clip of that scene plays, and it's
So
yeah.
I'm assuming the drink is salty. Oh,
I don't
love that
remember.
music.
It's I don't remember. It's Fernet or rye or something. I don't.
I was
I
gonna
don't
say
know.
there is a whiskey called Writer's Tears. I wonder if it's made with
That's
that,
funny.
because that
Uh,
whiskey's actually really good.
it's funny, but like that music, that's one of the most appropriate pan flute songs ever, because that song like has a pan flute in there, and it's one of my favorite pieces in film, actually. This score, I just love this score, and it's actually very sparse. The score, there's only like I don't know 5 or 6 songs
I
in the
have
whole score, and it's fantastic.
I have the beginning song in music form because that's the very first musical I ever auditioned for. It
And you
was
did
when
NeverEnding
this,
Story, yeah.
yeah, I sang this. So I had to have the music for the piano player and and I got in.
Awesome.
All right, time to go to the piano. Show us.
Yeah. So funny enough, so my mom wrote these lyrics and I finished them for her, and I put to music the song called Lighthouse. But I took the inspiration for the music from it is actually from the Neverending Story. The
Oh.
song. So if you ever hear it, there is like this a total homage to
Dun,
this
dun,
Neverending Story.
dun.
Not that one. No, no, no.
No?
The
Oh.
Neverending Story. The whole beginning, the whole piano, not piano. The whole formatting of the song is like the actual song Neverending Story is like it, and there even the guitar riff in the middle is It's all very inspired for NeverEnding Story, the song. And I'm like, can you guys, and I always ask people, like, so can you hear what it's an homage to? The musical score? And they're like, no. And I'm like, NeverEnding Story. They're like, oh, I hear it now.
When
So,
this is on YouTube, like if you have it anywhere, put a link to it in like the comments so we can click and hear it.
do I have a link to it somewhere? I do. I think I can grab I can grab it for you guys. It's on Spotify. You guys can find it on Spotify. But I can put a link into the
Yes.
chat if you guys give me a second.
So our next reading, we'll do some more discussion here in a minute, but in case folks had to go, the second half of this will be next week, and then we will take a week off, and then we'll come back with a television episode of Doctor Who, which I forget which episode, but Vicky probably remembers
Vincent and the Doctor.
that
It's the
one.
one with
Oh, good.
Vincent Van Gogh.
Such a
The
good episode.
best episode ever.
So we'll be trying to alternate films and TV, and so that gives us a week off after each one, so we have time to actually cast it and do all the line counting and all that. So, 2 weeks for a film, week off, week for a television, week off, 2 weeks for a film, week off, week for a television, so on and so forth. That's the plan, anyways. We don't have anything on our schedule yet past Doctor Who, but Vicky and I were discussing some possibilities, so I will be putting up a poll with a list of titles, and you guys can, vote to see which ones you would like to see up next. So,
Awesome.
but yeah, if anyone else has further thoughts on this movie, I just want to get that announcement out before
Thank you.
people start leaving.
The
I'm sure
link,
you-
the link to the song is I just put the link for the song in the chat. Not on YouTube, unfortunately, but in the Zoom chat, so you guys can listen to it if you want. You don't have to, but you can listen to it if you want.
Can you send it to me in private message?
I can.
Thank you.
On YouTube or on here or on Facebook.
Facebook.
Okay, I could do that.
I'm sure you guys know better than I that this whole movie is only half the book.
Yeah.
Yep, I sure do. And
Mhm.
I know that NeverEnding Story 2, the movie, is because the way they changed the ending for this movie, they had to change a lot for the NeverEnding Story 2, the movie,
Yeah.
which is a shame because I wish they had delved into a lot of the themes and the story content that they did the best they could, I guess, with it. But yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
the idea for the second half sounds pretty good.
So the book is, you're saying that it's half the movie, so this like one book, not two books, like a part one and part two. It's just one book, and they just did the first half.
Yeah, the first book.
Correct.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yep, it is a long book.
Oh, with the title like that, you would expect it to be.
I have the book. I can go grab it real quick.
I love
I
the
was just-
premise of this story, though.
Oh yeah.
and
Hold
that,
1 second, guys. I will be right back.
Someone might be watching us while we are talking
Yes.
about folks out there. So,
And that's why
hopefully
we
someone is watching us while we are talking right now.
And that's why we have this talk after, because it's for educational purposes. We learn things. You out there and who are watching us, you learn things. Sometimes secret things.
Yes. So the book that I have, the way that I have it, it is 444 books, 44 pages, which
You have
is
it on your
actually
body, we
quite
can
short.
see it.
Oh, here. Is that better?
Yeah, perfect.
So yeah, the version I've got is about 445 pages, about that. And it's amazing that it's that short, because you feel like you are like on this journey for like 10 years. It really feels that way. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean, like, I felt so tired after I finished reading this, because it's so in depth. And the books, though it's a good read, it's not a bad read. It's a really fantastic, fun read, but you were just like, oh my gosh, it's one thing after another. There's so much. but it's a fantastic book. Anyone who's out there watching us on YouTube, please pick up this book and read it. You will cry. You will absolutely cry.
It's a guarantee.
Guarantee. It will.
Unless you have no feelings.
Yeah, unless you're not, you don't have any feelings at all.
Or tear ducts.
Which I have none, apparently. No, I'm kidding.
But having taken that Parmenter scene out of the script when they film version, that puts the Artex dying scene closer to the front, which changes the flow and the feel of the story. Because I remember when I rewatched it, my first thought was, I did not remember this being so close to the beginning of the movie, and and I just wondered if anyone else kind of felt that way, if they being because it's when you have a major death like that, right at the beginning for a kids movie. I mean, a horse, right? I mean, you hardly ever see the horses die in a movie unless it's big battle scenes and whatever where you don't have any names for the horses. But yeah, I don't think my kid could watch this one because he loves horses so much that he would stop here and then be just totally traumatized. But it was obviously we're still traumatized too, that even after these many years after it came out, it's still so.
Yeah. I rewatched it for I believe the 40th anniversary last year. It was like there was a limited like a limited time screening thing going on.
Aw,
And
that's amazing.
And yeah, I actually had a similar reaction. Like I had forgotten that it felt like that the Artax sequence, this one with sadness, felt earlier on, that I remembered it being as a kid. But granted, I mean, as a kid in the 80s, I mean, I hadn't seen it much since then. I had seen it on TV a couple of times over the years, and then I hadn't really watched it as an adult for the longest time, even though it was burned into my brain and I read the book and all that. But I never. But yeah, upon doing like a full rewatch at my current age, it was like it feels different. Like my memory of the structure of the story was very different after 30 something odd years.
It hits very differently.
Yeah.
It does. That is really interesting. Also, another thing is that Artex talks in the book too.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, and so that scene is so hard to read when and you get there, because he's like, nothing matters, just let me go. Like, it's really, really sad.
Yeah.
There's I mean, it happens
Oh, you've got a book right
fairly.
there, yeah.
Yeah,
Whenever
I
you
have the book, so I can kind of
find a passage and you read it for us.
I can read the passage. Yeah, there's Gamora, or not Gamora, Morla.
For a bit.
Morla's just being really awful as usual in there. Let's see here. Okay, so Artex, let's see. Artex said to Trey, "What's the matter?" "I don't know, Master. I think we should turn back. There's no sense in all this. We're chasing after something you've only dreamed about. We won't find anything. Maybe it's too late even now. Maybe the childlike Empress is already dead and everything we're doing is useless. Let us turn back, Master." Atreyu was astonished. Artex, he said, "You've never spoken like this. What is the matter? Are you sick? Are you sick? "Maybe I am," said Artax. "With every step we take, the sadness grows in my heart. I've lost hope, Master, and I feel so heavy. So heavy. I can't go on." "But we must go on," said Atreyu. "Come along, Artax." He tugged at the bridle, but Artax stood still. He had sunk in up to his belly, and he made no further effort to extricate himself. "Artax," cried Atreyu, "you mustn't let yourself go. Come, pull yourself out, or you'll sink." "Leave me, Master," said the little horse. "I can't make it. Go on alone. Don't bother about me. I can't stand the sadness anymore. I want to die." Desperately, Atreyu pulled at the bridle, but the horse sank deeper and deeper. With only his head emerged from the black water, Atreyu took it in his arms. "I'll hold you, Artax," he whispered. "I won't let you go under." The little horse uttered one last soft neigh. "You can't help me, Master. It's all over for me. Neither of us knew what we were getting into. Now we know why they are called the swamps of sadness. It's the sadness that has made me so heavy. That's why I'm sinking. There's no help. But I'm here too, said Atreyu. I don't feel anything. You're wearing the gem, Master, said Artax. It protects you. Then I'll hang it around your neck, Atreyu cried. Maybe it will protect you too. He started to take the chain off his neck. No, the little horse whinnied. You mustn't do it, Master. The glory has entrusted it to you. You weren't given permission to pass it on as you see fit. You must carry on the quest without me. Atreyu pressed his face into the horse's cheek. Artax, he whispered. Oh, my Artax. Will you grant my last wish? The little horse asked. Atreyu nodded in silence. When I beg you to go away, I don't want Then I beg you to go away. I don't want you to see my end. Will you do me that favor? Slowly, Atreyu rose. Half the horse's head was already in the black water. Farewell, Atreyu, my master, he said, and thank you. Atreyu pressed his lips together. He couldn't speak. Once again, he nodded to Artax. Then he turned away.
Oh, that is so sad.
Oh,
I know this book just like it just gets you. It's so well done, so beautifully written.
I have a question for Jackson. Have you seen this movie?
it's been a minute. It's been I watched it when I was very wee, little tiny. Wasn't that long ago, I guess. But yeah, I watched it when I was tiny, and I have not watched it recently at all.
But
you did once, so that was a good answer.
Yes.
Yes. So
It's
I
one
actually
have
Sorry, go.
watched. I have watched it, just
I'm glad you
not
watched
in a
it.
while.
I'm glad you've seen this, though. I think every child should. No, I actually showed this to somebody who had never seen it as a kid. Showed them the whole movie, and they're like, it's not that deep. It's fine, but it's not deep at all.
How old were they?
It's fine. They were like in their 30s.
When do you guys think is the right age to show this to someone or to watch it?
Ooh, question.
Go ahead, guys. I have.
I think your friend doesn't have tear ducts.
Yeah, no. The guy turned out not. Lucy, one of the only people my cat did not like. My cat didn't like him at all. My cat looks like Gamork, by the way. It's really funny. He really does. He's got like the really green eyes, and he's black, and he's fluffy black, and he's got one big long tooth. He used to have both of them, just like this, but one of his teeth came out. One of his canines came out, but he looks like Gamork. It's really cute. But yeah, I was like, this is a really deep story. And they're like, I don't get it. It's not that deep. I was like, go screw yourself, sir.
I think
So
if
We can't be friends.
it has a happy ending, then maybe you can watch it, as at an earlier age. But yeah, because if you don't know if it's going to end happy, I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I always wanted to know that things ended happy. I didn't want to watch things if I knew it was going to be sad at the end. So I don't need to know how it ends happy, but
I would say between the ages of 5 and 10, because at that time, that's when when kids really get the sense that there's death happening, and they're really starting to understand or wanting to learn their world. And I think this is something for them to grow on, to really expand their imagination, to really give them like the start of the layers. They may not understand everything, especially if you watch it like around 5, but they are starting to get this concept of loss, especially with the Artax scene. It may be traumatizing when you're watching it, but it's that concept of empathy and loss is really important. That's what I think developmentally for kids. But it also can be traumatizing too.
I would have thought later, like for me, I was thinking like between like 10, 14. However, like I don't think I saw this in theaters, but when it came out, I would have been 5. And whenever I saw it, at whatever age I was, like I loved it in it. So that was for me the perfect age to watch the movie. But
How old was your niece, or is your niece that watched it?
oh, she was I feel like older than 10. She's 20 something now, and I showed her a long time ago, so I don't remember exactly how old. But
I think
yeah.
I was 7 when I saw it, 6 or 7, I think, when I saw this for the first time.
I think I was about the same. It was between first and second grade.
Okay.
And I had no problem understanding at least at least most of the layer, like not delving into the layers of it, but I understood the story. I got it, got the empathy of it. So then you delve in deeper and then you get into deeper layers and, more gets uncovered as you age, obviously, and you start to understand deeper grasp. But because this is not just it's got layers to its story. So I just mean like as a start to get them, first started on deeper concepts.
Yeah.
It's good for a kid because you can take a look at it and be like, oh, it's an adventure, and then you get deeper, and as they get older and they watch it, as you get older, you're starting to pull back those onion layers of
I
it.
watched Bambi at age 5, and
Oh gosh.
the mom gets shot and killed, and I remember being traumatized for a really long time. That might be why I want to know the ending is happy, you
Yeah.
know. And if no one could tell me what the ending was like, I'd be sitting through a movie like this. And like E.T. terrified me because I
We're
thought
saying that.
E.T. was gonna like turn evil at some point,
Oh
because
wow.
no one could tell me whether it was gonna be happy or not. So I was like so scared the whole movie.
I mean,
Now,
kind of like Gremlins.
Oh.
If you guys had watched you guys should go back and watch our
Oh,
Gremlins read that we
it
just did
was
like a month ago.
I'm
It's
so
so
sad I missed
different from
that
the
one.
so different from the movie.
Really? Okay. I mean, I'm
brutal.
gonna watch. I'm
Holy
gonna listen
crap,
to it.
so different.
Much more killing and violence. Yeah, not a kid friendly.
Such a dark film.
Now,
Lon,
I'm not going to say how old I was when I first saw this movie because people can do math. But I
we
will
can.
say the movie that traumatized me as a kid was Old Yeller. Oh, I shouldn't have said that.
I watched that too.
That
I
book
watched it as a
traumatized
kid.
me. I read that book when I was a kid, probably way too young. That and I think like Where the Red Fern Grows, I think is another like
Uh-huh.
dog death story, which is horrible.
Where the
Yeah,
Red
very
Fern Grows.
traumatizing for sure.
I think they
Yeah.
showed us Old Yeller in like fifth grade or something. It was like at school, one of the movies they shared that we watched.
Yeah, The Red Fern Groves was a whole class assignment. We all had to read that one. In
We
fifth.
watched it or not watched it, we read it in middle school.
Well, if you have to watch a movie to learn about rabies, it should be Old Yeller and not Cujo.
So talking about Gremlins and now and Never Ending Story, I believe they're doing remakes of both right now. How much we love this movie. So what are you guys' thoughts?
I'm scared.
Yeah.
I'm really scared. Though maybe they'll redesign Falcor so people won't keep saying it's just a flying dog.
I mean,
Go
if they
screw
do,
yourself,
then
guys.
people will be super upset about that. It doesn't look like the old Falcor. Like, so no matter what, they're not going to
So
be happy.
I
Then.
will say the Falcor on this is really cool. So that's Falcor. He looks
Like
pretty cool. Yeah, he
Now,
looks like a giant lion. It's pretty cute actually. And in there it's like you can see his body, it's like a snake. It's pretty neat. Like I like that, which is what he's described in the book. He's got pearl scales and like with some tough like feathers and scales. And I thought they did a fantastic job with him in the movie itself. I thought he was so likable and so has such a sweet, gentle face. I love the design they went with.
Well, I'm gonna head to bed. I don't know.
All right,
I
you
think
guys
that
have a good night.
it's good having another one of these. I miss it. So
Yes, we
yes,
missed you, Jackson.
But we'll be here
yes,
next week with
I
the
should
second
be here
half.
next week. So,
that would be lovely.
okay.
Sure.
Have a good rest of your night, everyone. See
I should
Good
you.
probably get
night.
going too, guys. You guys have a
Yes,
great night.
let's
All
all
right.
leave.
Okay,
All
bye.
right. Good. Thank you, guys.
Thank you,
Bye.
Skylar, and thank you, Jacob, for
Bye.
being here.
Thank
You
you.
guys
Great
are
night,
so
everybody.
Okay.
fabulous.
Yep,
Yeah.
Yes.
love
You
that
too,
one.
Viggy.
You too, Vicky. Vicky, you are paramount to this. Seriously, you and Kat, you two really make this so wonderful.
100%.
Well,
For sure.
I have a hard time believing that, but thank you.
Believe it.
Believe it. Get the bayo. Anyways, okay,
God.
bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
I think I can go off and read some more Shakespeare for a couple more hours.
More Shakespeare.
Well, they're doing a Bardathon this week in Wisconsin, and you can join in with Zoom. And they're reading all 37 Shakespeare plays in a week. So every
Oh, I
fourth,
thought this had already happened.
it's starting this week. I've got a schedule right here. So yeah, it
Oh,
started on
wow.
Monday, but they are continuing to read it through like next Sunday afternoon ish.
Oh,
They're
okay.
reading Richard III right now, and then going to jump into King Henry VI at um, 10 p.m. midnight or 10 p.m. Pacific
Are they
time.
reading them chronologically, or what's the logic?
I cannot determine what the logic is. I think it might be whoever is hosting each reading picked what play they wanted to do, and then they
Oh,
filled
okay. So in that case, it's just going to be all over the place.
yes. So, like I said, Richard III followed by King Henry VI, and historically they
Yeah.
would have been like that. But
Yeah, and yeah, I wasn't sure if they're gonna breaking it down by let's do all the tragedies, let's do all the histories, let's do all the comedies, or I mean, there are so many different ways you could go about it.
yep. No, I don't see any particular order in this one. So, Two Households is reading it in a particular order, but we've got a 5-year schedule because we're reading not all the, we're reading some of the contemporary plays at the same time. So Marlowe and John
Yeah,
Safran.
I've seen and some Greek stuff and other yeah.
So it's going to
Um, so what?
take us a bit to get through it all.
Oh yeah, there's no yeah. The canon is not small.
No, it's not. I've done it twice already, but yeah, this is the third time through. So, um, but yeah, it's interesting. It's fun. So, well, thanks so much for joining us. Will you be here next week? Hopefully.
Maybe. I think so. I mean, I'm kind of. I think the 27th I'm not, and the 29th I'm not, but I think the 28th is okay. Like,
Well, we'll
I'll
cross our fingers and see.
yeah, I'll confirm when I know. But yeah, I was thinking about it. It'd be fun to do the second half. I mean, like who wouldn't want to play some of these characters if they got the chance? But I was thinking, if I come back, I'd love to do Gamork.
We'll be happy to let you do.
Yeah, that would be fun for me. But
Okay. Well, we'll hope to see you next week, and I'll say goodnight.
and to you as well.